Welcome back, and joining me for a closer look at what's played out in the market scene today is Andrew Padoa from Sasfin Wealth. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. I do understand that it is low volumes today because of that holiday in the US, so I'm not really going to go into exactly what is driving a sentiment today, because I would imagine that everything is exaggerated. But quite interesting moves that we are seeing there with the divergence of the gold miners and Naspers and Prosus, seeming that the gold miners are not the golden boys of the JSE today, but Naspers and Prosus are. And we've actually been seeing every day an uptick in the Prosus and Naspers share price. And of course, that has to do with Tencent in China. Just talk to me about, whether DeepSeek now is really showing more of its muscle as a disruptor in AI.
Well, firstly, thanks for having me, Zanati. I think the answer to your question is yes. You got some really high-profile Chinese tech companies. BYD in the EV space is another one that's integrating DeepSeek into their technology. So yeah, I think on the Tencent side of things, look, they've had a fantastic run the last couple of months. Over the last year, they're up 70%. They had some really good results at the end of last year. Done a lot of buybacks recently, integrating AI technology, like we said, with DeepSeek. But even with that, the shares, they're still at an undemanding valuation. They're only on a forward PE of 18 times, which is way below historic averages.
And it's quite interesting, because in times like this, when a share price just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, people are always wondering if there is more upside, more profits to make, or if they should be taking their profits off the table. But of course, we will see how everything works out. Let's go into the company that came out with the results today in that commodity space, and that is Anglo American Platinum releasing its year-end results. Of course, as expected, PGM prices weighing on the profits there, but the miners still actually paying dividends. Is the PGM miner doing really all it can to survive this cycle and to come out of it as strong as possible?
I think so. We saw some really good cost-saving exercises from them, so they raised that in the results. I think they were aiming for 10 billion in cost savings, and they managed to achieve 12, which is quite an achievement. So yeah, fantastic dividend, special dividend over and above the normal dividends. So I'm sure parent company Anglo's is very happy. I thought those results would be enough to get the shares quite a bit higher today. They started off really well, and then they just kind of weakened over the course of the day, and then climbed right at the end of the day in the auction.
I don't know, is it still because of that overhang that investors have over this unbundling from Anglo American?
That could be a factor. It might also just be that the PGM space is really tough. We're not sure if it's bottomed yet, so there might be a bit of caution around that as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, talking about tough, Afrimat has also dealt with some tough challenges as well. Looking at that business update that they provided today, of course, as much as we had headwinds weighing on the company's profits, I just saw also that there were a number of green shoots that they've documented that are coming in. For example, no load shedding, and also just the positive impact of the integration of Lafarge cement there, but then still dealing with Transnet and also challenges with ArcelorMittal. How did you view this brief?
So I think, look, they're a phenomenal management team. If you look at their long-term track record, it's exemplary. I was just looking at it just now. Over the last decade, they've achieved 17% per annum total return. That's way above the JSE, but it's also ahead of the S&P 500, which is no easy feat. So, hats off to them. But I think there's a lot of things that are outside of their control, and they're doing their best in a difficult environment. So with the Lafarge integration, it looks like that's coming right now. That was an issue a couple of months ago. That seems to be solved. But iron ore seems to be a challenge there with the Transnet and the ArcelorMittal.
All right.
But there are some green shoots, like you mentioned.
Yes, yes. Well, also just talking about a difficult trading environment, we do know the headwinds that Quantum Foods also experienced in the previous financial period. So they released their 4-month trading update today, saying that trading conditions have actually showed a significant improvement. We did see that share price surging by about 5%. Yeah, how Quantum Foods, is this on your radar? How do you think it is doing, considering also the fact that chicken and egg industry is quite difficult to operate in?
Yeah, so it's I'm on the fence on this one, just watching from the sidelines. But it was good to see better results. Trading conditions much better, no load shedding, reasonably high egg prices, no bird flu.
Yes.
That's a massive thing that can really affect their business. So that would keep me awake at night if I was at Quantum. But thankfully, none of that at this stage, as well as stable feed costs, which all helped. But I was just looking at the shares just now. Look, the spread is super wide. Maybe because the US markets are closed as well, that may play a factor. But there was only one trade in the whole of the course of today with 2,000 shares. So I suppose that's the challenge with some of the smaller stocks is liquidity can be an issue.
Well, that investor feeling ecstatic. Let's get to your stock picker for today. Andrew, what are you picking?
Sure. So my stock pick today is Constellation Software. They are like the Berkshire Hathaway of software. That's the easiest way to describe them. Led by the highly disciplined Mark Leonard. What really matters over the long run is the quality of the business, the quality of the management, and the quality of their capital allocation decisions. And for me, Constellation Software tick all three of those boxes, and they've been an absolutely stellar long-term performer.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your analysis on what has moved investors' money today, Andrew. That was Andrew Padoa from Sasfin Wealth.